As Pushkar Dhami takes oath as the new Uttarakhand Chief Minister, an old tweet haunts him, that of a map of a greater India, including large parts of Asia and China, while completely missing out key parts of present-day India. Why is the Modi government silent, not ready for a joint parliamentary committee probe in the Rafale deal, despite the French government ordering one? Asked the Congress. A week after the drone attack at an Air Force base in Jammu, the Srinagar administration imposes restrictions on the use, possession and sale of drones. India records 43,000 new coronavirus cases in 24 hours, 2% lower than yesterday. Delhi reports 94 COVID-19 cases and 7 deaths in the last 24 hours, less than 100 cases for the 5th day. And Delhi unlocks further. Sports complexes reopen tomorrow, multiplexes to stay shut. And petrol and diesel rates hiked again, taking fuel prices across India to a new record high. Petrol rates near the 106 rupee mark in Mumbai. Good evening and welcome to the news at 8. The Congress today lashed out at the government's silence over the French investigation into the 59,000 crore rupee Rafale jet deal. The opposition party says that according to documents available now, huge amounts of money were paid to middlemen in the deal, indicating that it was a vindication of the party's corruption allegations against Prime Minister Modi and his government. The controversy over the mega deal resurfaced yesterday, with the Congress seeking a joint parliamentary committee investigation after a news website reported that a French judge had been appointed to lead a highly sensitive judicial probe into alleged corruption and favoritism in the deal with India. The 2016 deal was for the sale of 36 Dassault-built fighter jets.
रफाल पर कांग्रेस एक बार फिर से मुखर है और हमारे साथ पवन खेड़ा हैं। ये जो फ्रांस में जांच की बात की गई है, आप लोग फिर से उत्साहित हो गए हैं रफाल मुद्दे पर, जब इस पे आप लोग कोर्ट में भी और जनता की अदालत में भी मुक्ति खा चुके हैं।
नंबर 1, हम कोर्ट नहीं गए थे। नंबर 2, उत्साहित होने की बात नहीं होती। जहाँ देश को नुकसान होता है वहाँ विपक्ष का और मीडिया का एक काम होता है बाहर आकर प्रखर आवाज में बात करें, उसके बारे में वो आवाज उठाएं, वो मुद्दा उठाएं, उसमें उत्साहित होने की बात।
तो जेपीसी की मांग आप पहले भी कर चुके हैं, लेकिन सरकार ने नहीं माना। अब जब फ्रांस में जांच की बात है तो आपको क्यों लगता है कि वो आधार होना चाहिए और यहाँ पे जांच होनी चाहिए इस बात?
इंटर गवर्नमेंटल एग्रीमेंट, 2 देश थे, एक फ्रांस एक हिंदुस्तान। फ्रांस जिसको कि राफेल डील से लाभ हुआ है, आर्थिक लाभ हुआ है और आरोप है कि ज्यादा लाभ हो गया, उसने तो जांच बैठा ली। जिस देश को नुकसान हुआ है, हिंदुस्तान को, उसने जांच नहीं बैठाई। अब ये सवाल तो जायज है या नहीं, आप बताइए।
तो कितने सवाल आपके मन में है? आपने कहा 6 सवाल आपके मन में, क्या क्या वो सवाल है?
हम तो चुनौती दे रहे हैं प्रधानमंत्री जी को, आइए जवाब दीजिए। आपसे नहीं बात करना चाहते, किसी और से करिए। आप हमें बताइए कि 126 विमान खरीदने थे, उनको घटाकर 36 क्यों किया गया? 570 करोड़ रुपए का एक विमान होना था, आपने 1670 करोड़ क्यों खर्च किए उस एक विमान पर? आप ये बताइए कि जो एग्रीमेंट थी उसमें एंटी करप्शन क्लॉज था, जो यूपीए के वक्त भी था, आपके रक्षा मंत्रालय ने भी रखने की चेष्टा की, आपने क्यों हटवा दिया? आप ये बताइए कि जो क्लॉज था जिसमें मिडिलमैन नहीं होने चाहिए थे, वो क्लॉज क्यों हटा दिया? आप यह बताइए कि एचएएल जिसमें 108 विमान हिंदुस्तान में बनने थे, यहाँ रोजगार मिलता, वो आपने क्यों हटा दिया एग्रीमेंट से और आपने एक प्राइवेट पार्टी को ले आए ऑफसेट पार्टनर? ये तमाम सवाल हैं जिसके उत्तर चाहिए।
एक आखिरी सवाल की राहुल गांधी ने एक ट्वीट किया है दाढ़ी में दिन का और एक इंस्टाग्राम पे फोटो डाला है। बीजेपी कह रही है कि ये जो है वो एक व्यक्तिगत हमला है और इस तरह का नहीं होना चाहिए।
राफेल डील में जो भ्रष्टाचार हुआ है वह भी व्यक्तिगत है। एक व्यक्ति ने जाकर वह डील की, हम तो उस व्यक्ति से सवाल पूछ रहे हैं, वो ज़्यादा गंभीर सवाल हैं। दाढ़ी में फोटो कैसी थी, दाढ़ी में राफेल था या नहीं, ये मायने नहीं रखता। मायने यह रखता है देश को हजारों करोड़ का नुकसान जिस व्यक्ति ने पहुंचाया है, उस व्यक्ति को इन सवालों के जवाब देने चाहिए या नहीं।
तो ये कांग्रेस के सवाल हैं और ये सवाल एक बार फिर से कांग्रेस पूरी ताकत के साथ पूछ रही है। देखना है कि सरकार की तरफ से क्या जवाब आता भी है या नहीं।
And the Srinagar administration has imposed restrictions on the use, possession and sale of drones. Let's go across to Naseer Masoodi. Naseer, this of course comes a week after that drone attack on an Air Force base in Jammu and Kashmir. So what does this order say now?
Well, this clearly shows how that attack on Air Force base, two drone attacks on Sunday last, has changed the security paradigm. And also how the priorities for the administration and the security agencies. District Magistrate Srinagar, based on the information and recommendation of SSP Srinagar, has imposed a ban or restriction on use, purchase and sale of drones. And all those who own drones have been asked to deposit them with the nearest police station. And then there's a question whether it was a knee-jerk reaction or it is a considered view or the decision by the government. Will this prevent any drone attacks? Remember, whenever there has been some major attack, government has come up with such decisions, banning things. For example, after Pulwama suicide attack in February 2019, when 40 CRPF Jawans were killed in a suicide attack, government banned public transport, civilian transport for 2 days a week in Jammu and Kashmir. So that ban was lifted later on, but the fact is, if since then, for last more than 2 years, no civilian can move around the road when military or paramilitary, convoys are moving or the vehicles are moving. So the question is, will this help? But it also shows how government has been worried after these attacks. In fact, the question is being raised about the security of senior political leaders, VVIPs, senior security force officials, since the drones have been now introduced into this militancy. Now the officials have been saying they cannot rule out possibility those drone attacks may have been carried out from Pakistan. This clearly, and they are saying Lashkar could be behind this because Lashkar militants have been operating across Jammu and Kashmir for last many years. So this is a serious challenge. So after Rajouri district magistrate who banned use of drones, Rajouri district, now the district magistrate Srinagar has also imposed restriction or the ban on use, sale, purchase or possession of drones.
Makes sense given the events of last week. Thanks so much, Naseer. That was Naseer joining us live. As you can see, they're still enjoying some daylight hours despite it being past 8 p.m. Thanks again, Naseer. Meanwhile, the 21-year-old state of Uttarakhand got its 11th Chief Minister today in a ceremony in the Raj Bhavan in Dehradun. Two-time MLA from Khatima, Pushkar Singh Dhami, took oath as the Chief Minister along with 11 ministers. With assembly elections due early next year, it's a race against time for the new Chief Minister to prove his leadership and overcome the infighting that has beleaguered his party. His predecessor, Tirath Singh Rawat, resigned from the post amidst infighting in the party this week, and with the next assembly elections less than a year away, his challenge is to hit the ground running despite a lack of administrative experience and a short tenure.
मैं पुष्कर सिंह धामी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा। मैं भारत की प्रभुता और अखंडता अक्षुण्ण रखूंगा। मैं उत्तराखंड राज्य के मुख्यमंत्री के रूप में अपने कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक और शुद्ध अंतःकरण से निर्वहन करूंगा।
Well, yes, and that was pretty much the intention last time around as well when Tirath Singh Rawat's name was proposed. But on the face of it, what was given as the reason for his departure was, a bit of a constitutional crisis which emanated out of him being an MP and him having to be elected to the Vidhan Sabha to continue as Chief Minister, which would have had to happen by the 10th of September. Now, because of the COVID situation, the Bharatiya Janata Party said that it wanted to avoid a situation where there would be a by-election soon, and then eventually Mr. Tirath Singh Rawat continues. The real reasons from what we learned were twofold. Number one, the very basic reason why Tirath Singh Rawat had come in and Triveni Singh replaced was to end the infighting in the Uttarakhand unit of the BJP. Now that never happened because the infighting continued. In fact, there was also a growing feeling that a leader has been para-dropped, and it did not really solve the problem of the two prominent factions. One is the faction that has deserted the Congress and come into the BJP, so they are the newcomers, or the political converts, if you can call them. And then, on the other hand, were the traditionalists, the people who had a strong base in the Sangh Parivar, who were, bred within the BJP system, and these camps and the camp fight continues. Plus, to add to that, Mr. Tirath Singh Rawat's own utterances. I mean, who can forget ripped jeans and, all his other utterances related to the Kumbh. Then a controversy also around Kumbh of how certificates were distributed of COVID-19 vaccination. So, all in all, within 4 months of all this happening, a combination of factors, the Bharatiya Janata Party felt the need to go for a replacement. Now, obviously, at the very core of this third replacement, the third chief minister in a 5-year span, the first in the history of Uttarakhand, is to make sure that all factions are together and they're able to fight the election.
And that will be his big challenge. But even before taking over, the newly elected Uttarakhand chief minister landed in a controversy. Over a map of India, he tweeted 6 years ago, a map of a greater India that includes large parts of Asia, including China, while completely missing out key parts of present-day India. And Twitter users, of course, lost no time in digging out this map and asking that since action was taken against Twitter for posting a wrong map of India, what about the new chief minister's previous post? And Delhi has reported 94 new COVID-19 cases and 7 deaths in the last 24 hours. That's the 5th day that Delhi has reported less than 100 cases. And now Delhi enters the 6th phase of the easing of COVID lockdown restrictions from tomorrow, with stadiums and sports complexes reopening, although they will not be allowing any spectators. Cinema halls, multiplexes and swimming pools, however, will remain shut. But it's still too early to let down your guard, and 2 Delhi markets were closed, have been closed till the 6th of July for violating COVID-19 norms.
We are currently in West Delhi's Nangloi area. 2 markets of this area, the Punjabi Basti as well as Janta Market, have been shut down by the administration because COVID appropriate norms were not being followed.
According to the administration, social distancing rules were being flouted by both the public as well as shopkeepers, and nearly 400 shops have been closed till 6 July to prevent these places from becoming COVID hotspots. But traders feel this is unfair.
चालान कटते हैं, जो अभी उसके बीच में 2 चालान हमारे वैसे भी कट चुके हैं दुकान के, 2-2 हज़ार के चालान कटते हैं, तो उसमें इतनी भीड़ तो हमारी होती भी नहीं। हमारी 50 गज की दुकान है, 50 गज की दुकान में एक बार बताओ, क्या कस्टमर 4-5 भी नहीं खड़े हो सकते, और उसमें पुलिस वाले आके बोलते हैं कि आपकी दुकान के अंदर भी जो स्टाफ है वो भी 4-5 जनों का है। अब बताओ, अब एक जना खड़ा होकर कस्टमर अटेंड करेगा, क्या करेगा? उसके में हम ये जानना चाहते हैं, हम लड़कों की तनख्वाह कैसे देंगे?
While action has been taken on some markets in West and East Delhi, other bigger markets like South Delhi's Sarojini Nagar continue to witness overcrowding and improper masking, a lethal situation in the midst of fears of an impending third wave of COVID. Traders claim they try to ensure rules are followed, but customers on the other hand seem to be unconcerned.
हम लोग कस्टमर को बोल देते हैं जी, अगर आप 4 लोग हो, 2 लोगों को देखना, 2 लोग देखिए, बाकी लोग दूर दूर थोड़ा खड़े हो जाइए, सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग बना के रखिए, मास्क नहीं लगाते हैं, अगर कोई कस्टमर आया तो उसको बोल देते भाई मास्क लगा के रखो।
रूल स्टिक करेंगे फिर भी मार्केट में आप भीड़ को कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते, जहाँ तक मुझे लगता है। और आपको अनसेफ फील होता है इस तरह से आप शॉपिंग करने आते हैं? होता तो है, बट शॉपिंग भी तो करनी है ना, कैसे करें बताओ?
According to sources in the Delhi Disaster Management Authority, markets like Sarojini Nagar, Kamla Nagar and Sadar Bazaar have already been issued notices last week about overcrowding, and if things don't change, stricter action may follow. From tomorrow, Delhi will unlock further as stadiums and sports complexes will be allowed to reopen but without spectators. So far, they were allowed to open only for holding national and international events and training sports persons for such events. Cinema halls and multiplexes will continue to remain closed in Delhi.
A lot of people think that this is the time to come out before the third wave strikes. But it is scenarios exactly like these that are going to invite the third wave. In New Delhi with camera person Mohammad Mursalin, this is Sukirti Dwivedi for NDTV.
A catch-22 situation there. Meanwhile, an under-construction building promoted by former BSP MP Dawood Ahmed in Lucknow was razed to the ground today. The action was taken after the Archaeological Survey of India, or ASI, raised a red flag citing its proximity to the protected site of the Residency in Lucknow. The Residency is a group of buildings that served as home for the British Resident General, who was a representative in the court of the Nawab. Built in the 18th century, the Residency was at the centre of the siege of Lucknow during the First War of Independence. Now, visuals of the razing show the multi-storied building collapsed to the ground amidst a cloud of smoke after several bulldozers were pressed into work to bring it down. Meanwhile, one of the drivers operating a bulldozer was injured after a part of the building crashed on the vehicle. While the vehicle was badly damaged, the operator escaped with minor injuries. Welcome back. Now a consensus has been reached with the indigenous Muslims of Assam on the state government's proposed new population initiative involving a two-child policy. The Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma has said today, and he will next be attempting a similar agreement with the Bengali-speaking members of the community, he says.
It has been agreed that the population explosion in some part of Assam has posed a real threat for the development of Assam, more particularly in the economic sense. If at all we have to become among the 5 states of the country, then we have to manage our population explosion. 8 subgroups should be constituted, and after 3 months we will be here again.
And Rathandeep Chaudhary joins us for more. Rathandeep, Mr. Sarma's government calls this the biggest outreach program for Muslims, but conspicuously though, Bengali-speaking Muslims, often branded by the BJP as illegal migrants, they're not part of this conversation so far?
That's right. In fact, that was the question we had posted to the Chief Minister, where he said that this was the first meeting of a series of meetings that he would actually convene. And since this was a first meeting, he wanted to meet the indigenous Muslims who are the basically Muslims from Upper Assam region, because their issues are much different to the Bengali-speaking Muslims who basically live in Lower and Central Assam. So what the state government is telling us is that this exercise is not only to discuss the two-child norms which the state government wants to gradually implement in the state, in all the state-run welfare schemes as well as government job, but also overall development of the Muslim community. And that's why in today's meeting, while the state government claimed that a consensus agreement in terms of the need of checking population explosion, these are the words which the Chief Minister has used. They have arrived on a kind of an consensus on this, but this more for the development, already a decision has been taken that 8 separate subcommittees will be made who will work for 3 months to prepare a report, a roadmap in terms of how this government, the BJP-led government, would carry on the development works in terms of the minorities are concerned, particularly the Muslim community. Now, what is more important is that when the Chief Minister is going to call the Bengali-speaking Muslims for a meeting, because often they have been targeted as illegal migrants, and also the fact that it has always been that there have been a bit of more population growth among the Bengali-speaking Muslims, and therefore it will be interesting because Assam has more than 35% population, Muslim population, out of which 30% are the Bengali-speaking Muslims of Lower Assam and Central Assam. And the rest 4 to 5% are the indigenous Muslim with whom they have spoken today. So one has to wait and watch how that meeting will unfold before the state government actually takes forward its ambitious plans of implementing two-child policy for welfare projects as well as government jobs.
All right, Rathandeep, thanks. You'll be closely monitoring these developments for us. Thanks for now. Now, the fallout of the pandemic and the ensuing lockdowns has been felt far and wide. Here's a story of a travel agent who's been struggling with financial crisis during this period from Gurgaon.
Home-cooked food, 110 rupees a plate for passers-by. 40-year-old Abhishek Agarwal stands all afternoon with his placard in hand for hours every day near the Sector 56 roundabout in Gurugram. A travel agent for 13 years in Gurugram, he has no work as the travel industry collapsed during COVID. With elderly parents and a wife to support, he first tried to run a tiffin service, but when that started to fare as offices too shut down, he started selling food on the roadside with the help from an acquaintance who has lent him her car.
COVID की वजह से everything was closed, travel and all, no one was willing to travel. But gradually things opened, but फिर से अभी दोबारा start हो गया.
तो मेरे पास कार थी, then I thought कि ठीक है तुम इस कार को यूज़ कर लो, जैसे यूज़ करना है, इसमें खाना अगर हो सकता है कुछ भी तो ये तुम यूज़ कर सकते हो. तो बस इतनी सी मैंने help की.
Unsure of the future of the travel industry, Abhishek says he will continue selling food on the roadside, even if things improve.
वो मैं करूँगा लेकिन ये नहीं छोड़ूंगा. मतलब मेरे को जो पसंद आता काम मैं वही करता हूँ. अब मेरे को अच्छा लग रहा है. अब मैं ये नहीं कि मतलब एक वो है, पर मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है इसलिए मैं कर रहा हूँ.
Many have tried to help Abhishek in any way they can.
मैं इनको डेली देखता हूँ, ये अपना बोर्ड जो अपना एडवर्टाइजमेंट जो डेली करते हैं, तो इनको मैं रोज देखता हूँ. तो मैंने देखा यार बड़ा मेहनत कर रहा है बंदा, खाना भाई घर का खाना. तो मैंने कहा यार इनको यहाँ तो कोई रुकता नहीं है, इनको ऐसी पॉइंट बताया जाए जो तरीका से इनका बढ़िया बिजनेस चल जाए. हाँ जी, इसीलिए सर मैं रुका हूँ इनको बताने के लिए. अगर जी हमारा उधर काम भी है और आप कंफर्म अपनी जो खाना वाने का वहाँ अपनी कैंटीन लगाओ.
Abhishek has many local customers now, some daily wage laborers, some in fancy cars, all eating at the same spot, on the roadside. With Mukesh Singh, Joshua Chin for NDTV.